Yo, I got another one for you. But for you, this is coming days apart. For my Twitch audience, they've had to sit through all of them. So how about you hit that like, that subscribe, and that bell to stay notified? That way we can keep these rolling, and they over there won't be mad at us. You seen the title of the video? You know I'm jumping in right with the script. I got another one for you. Self-awareness in a clout vacuum. One of the most dangerous things I've ever dealt with, and it's about time I finally open up on every single facet of what this has meant to me and what it has led to me both mentally and, or I should say, emotionally and physically. First of all, what's a clout vacuum? Clout vacuums occur when people set certain trends on the internet. Before we could, the easiest thing to point to was the put them in a coffin. Remember that? Gotta put them in a coffin. Everybody doing it. It's the new trend. The missing step. The mannequin challenge. Cloud vacuums. As people get older, the kids will obviously find what the adults of before did corny or weird or whatever. But our culture kept growing because the people who would have faded out, being child stars, going into being actors, whatever, they stayed on the internet. They stayed pivotal parts of people's growth. Oh, I remember this creator from 20 years ago. I remember this person from 50 years ago. All that stuff that you think you forgot ends up playing a decent role in what you do on a daily basis for sure. The culture that we exist in forces us to change our morals around because we're also competing with people who are just attention seekers, who like doing attention seeking behavior, build their brands on brain rot and engagement bait. Those online spaces then fester and create idols or epitomes of what it means to be an attention seeker as their leaders. And when they say these outrageous things, there's legions of people ready to egg it on, whether they believe it or not, because that's just how things work. And that creates increasing pressure for creators to conform to popular opinion or trends. If you're saying something that's not too obvious or out of the way, people don't give it time to breathe. People want it now, and people want it earlier than now. And if you're one that's fighting against that or saying that's bad, you're automatically feeding into the engagement loop because they don't want an answer on why it's bad. They know why it's bad. They participate in it because they like how it makes you angry. They like how it disrupts your form of thinking, your strategy for what you want to produce. And every social platform that we have encourages this. Engagement is important. We want to keep you on these platforms. If everything makes you self-reflect for 20 minutes, you only spending an hour tops on that. While you playing some type of video game or something, you got Maple Story in the background. This contrast between nuanced takes and simplified, emotionally charged content will inevitably put you in a tailspin where you knowing that this stuff is wrong is something that you eventually feel like you have to call out. I don't like that this person exists to do this much harm to this community that they've done and gained and supposedly bled for, blood, sweat, and tears. For it all to just end up falling apart because they couldn't control themselves. Self awareness. Knowing that you have the ability to understand your emotions, thoughts, and the impacts of your behavior could be a side effect of the ADHD, could be a side effect of the trauma, could be a side effect of being a people pleaser, could be a side effect of anything that you yourself might be facing. But obviously, we're talking about me here. If you want to profess an idea, you have to be grounded in that identity before you can profess that idea. What are you focusing on? What are your goals? What exactly do you want to achieve with the message that you're trying to spread? If it's engagement bait, then that means it's going against exactly what you believe because it's forcing you to want to pick a fight. People don't go outside wanting to fight unless they aggy. Are you aggy? You feeling froggy? Then leap. That self-awareness that a lot of that I wish more content creators have, that I've been sadly burdened with, helps me avoid those traps of chasing clout for validation. I don't need the accessibility of somebody else to determine my worth when it comes to presenting an idea towards an audience. I'm strong enough in my ideals, I'm strong enough in my identity to know how to either win over the crowd or get them to feel exactly how I want them to feel. It's my experience. It's I still remember randomly a college speech class I took. It was advanced speech. And everybody in that class was like, "Yo, you dead don't need this. You should be on the radio right now." And I used to find that like funny because we really didn't like that class, not because it wasn't a good, not because the professor wasn't good. It's because he was checking out mentally because he was about to split. He's like, "This is my last semester, my literal last class," and then I'm going. I think he went to like California or something. He had mad acting gigs or whatever, and he was like, "I like teaching this, but I'm moving." So we just pretty much had fun, and besides our lessons, but he would tell me about the mid Atlantic Midwestern accent and how it dominates media, why people talk the way they like. We just had so many in depth conversations in that class, and it felt very odd because I wasn't expecting that from a college course, especially after going through the first Speech 101 course, and it was effectively like. I don't want to say it was for like not English as a native language, but it was strangely comforting because it forced a lot of people in that course to do one thing that I don't think they ever expected to do, and that's talk in public. Self-awareness. You have to develop a certain emotional intelligence by being scarred, by being put in an uncomfortable spot to remain authentic in your content, or else it all just comes off as one big blurb of nothingness in which you're trying to reach some type of esoteric meaning that's supposed to speak out about something that actually matters in this world when it's actually just a natural fear of being afraid that your voice will be the final voice you end up hearing for the rest of your life because nobody else wants to talk to you. It's in the consumption of our beautiful understanding of media from what we were supposed to do as kids when people would ask us, what did the author infer to this, to creating your own art that's supposed to have multiple meanings. It's supposed to be things to look forward to. Nothing can be straightforward anymore because we've been conditioned to read between the lines, and some people believe that not reading between those lines makes them either smarter or makes them somehow blissfully untouchable. And I never understood that. I never understood how you could feel untouchable in a world where everything is malleable. Everything's finally being broken down in front of your eyes, and you're watching the decline of multiple empires in your lifetime. And you don't feel like that's any bitten part to the revolutionary ideals that have been pushed forward in every single form of media that all these like little weird people try to like dumb down. Oh my god, there's a black Japanese samurai. That's not historically accurate. Do you really think it's about that, or do you think it's about the white hegemonic dominance over the globe in the past 2,000 years, and maybe that it's finally time that there's a place that they can't control? Of course it all breaks down from there. Are those not also emotional scars, emotional intelligence development sessions that help you to become more authentic when you walk outside? So every time you're not putting on just the, "Hi, I'm a comfy customer, I'm your assistant, let me help you." And on days you could say, "I'm in a really fucking crappy mood. I'm in a really crappy mood. I don't feel good." But these platforms reward these hot takes, this drama, and that shock value. And there's difficulty in building a following of more measured, thoughtful content because it still requires you to lay groundwork. Groundwork that a lot of people are not expecting to have to deal with when they scroll onto your video. It's easy to see somebody make a recipe. It's easy to see somebody function throughout the day, just sitting there reacting to stuff. And you might like their reactions. You might laugh. You might love the little stories of peoples in cars, but you really did love that "Who the Fuck Did I Marry" 50-part series. Why did it feel so engaging? Felt like you were being taken on a ride, just the same way books used to feel when you were a kid. Self awareness. And in a clout driven landscape, the effect on its creators is, if you want to make it in this business, you cannot just be this. I know I'm holding myself back by just being this, but I'm refusing to compromise. Because as my man Black said, I see I got y'all vision and y'all got y'all formula, but it just ain't gonna work for me, man. That just ain't gonna work for me, man. That just ain't gonna work for me, man. But I could understand the emotional toll It takes on creators who feel pressured to sacrifice that depth for engagement because they could be just like me, a poor person just trying to make it and hopefully see some of the millions of dollars that other people are making for pretty much doing the same thing. This could be another escape. This could be a chance. I could actually try this without fear of failure since it's right on my phone and I'm holding it. I'm holding it. I'm holding it in my hands. It's just like penning to your first book. You could never think, oh my God, I couldn't write a book. You probably wrote a book's worth more of text messages and instant messages and DMs in the last 6 months than you probably wrote all throughout high school, and you couldn't even fathom that. But it's true. I remember my first 20-page paper. Self awareness, right? Knowing that there's always been that strive to be the cool kid in class. You get that tendency to lose yourself in the pursuit of those trends, becoming part of the clout machine, helping to generate along so hopefully enough people stick around for whatever you said that they like the way that you said that about the popular topic, and it leads them right to when you really feel most vulnerable. Or maybe you're a creator that stays away from vulnerability. You make art, you make the edits snappy, picky, and all this and that, and you feel good about it and you like it, and you're saying maybe if I just hook on this trend, people will like it. You do that shit once and it pop, I'm gonna have to keep doing that. You become a song instead of a person. And so you start to feel that mental exhaustion, that burnout, that loss of authenticity, and that disconnection from the audience. And then you start losing friends. People start DMing you saying, why did you say that about me? And while you could sit there and explain it wasn't about you, I literally wasn't having your thought in mind, it's already part of the conversation. You moving on from that is a lot harder when you're older because it's not like I'm going to see you at school tomorrow and you can talk about it. So if everything is in a reactive environment, how do you keep emotional stability? How do you avoid those pitfalls of that burnout and loss of authenticity? Well, emotional stability is critical in content creation, wouldn't you say? We wouldn't have half the pieces that we have in arguments between people that have reshaped the online content landscape. If people had emotional stability, if they knew when and how to react in certain situations and hear that maybe, I did something bad and I'd like to apologize. That's the dangers in being reactionary. Instant reactions and opinions without reflection that you have no choice but to defend because if you look weak, you've set up your entire audience to become a reactionary set of ticking time bombs. What are you going to do now? How are you going to manage that now? When you turn off the computer, you don't get them jitters in your hand? No creator talks about the jitters in their hand. Me, however, I've lost enough people. My hand remains still now. Calm. Poised. Maintaining that emotional control can help prevent being swayed by negative feedback or trends. I've watched people literally, big last one at KSI, just having a little bit more of less of an impulse could avoid so much negative press. But you start building on that brand, so it starts feeding back to you what you're building on it, and it feels different. You're out of your comfort zone. You can't unplug from it because it's what your life has been. You haven't prepared your audience nor yourself for when the server gets severed. That groundedness that you no longer have because you've been floating up around trends with no way to stop the current from moving. Okay, so if this is like that, then how the hell would anybody ever be in an advantageous spot, offering nuanced takes in a binary world? It's harder to market subtlety. It's harder to make people think because anybody can interpret this any way they want. And for some people, the deep conversations sound like you're talking down. How difficult could it be to get across a complex idea and communicate that to an audience who is only going to be there for 30 seconds? How fast do you go? What do you omit? What do you assume? What do you harp on? And you have to balance that education and depth with entertainment because we're all adults now. Nobody wants to be in class anymore. Here's a few strategies that I figured out for delivering nuanced takes without losing audience interest. Make your audience feel like you took time out of your day because you felt like you needed to express it. And I promise you, everybody who shows up for your gaming videos is going to show up for that as well. If you don't have the ability to feel like you can explain it fast enough, then bring up the concept and ask questions towards your audience and keep them engaged by having them fill in the holes. And then make a collection piece where we talk about everything. And then you can have a free form. I'd like to explore this because it made me think of something. And you'll find yourself being able to do both things at once. I'm a great Assetto Corsa race driver, but when I'm slowing down and I'm just whipping it, I start thinking about other things, like I'm driving on the highway and it feels nice. I'll invite people into my Discord and we just talk about life and shit. And there is always a period of time where you have to ensure that that depth doesn't come off as lecturing or overly academic. And it's easy because, hey, if you're a normal human being, this should come normal to you. So, what about audience expectations versus your creative freedom? That audience always craves something. CJ the X just did a great piece on how the audience will demand a certain slice of your life be catered directly to them, even if they don't recognize that they're doing that because they believe that because they've supported them at one time or another, that somehow they're owed the audience of your ears. You should do something, even though I'm saying it in passing. Would you say that exact same thing to me if we were like close friends? Would you go a little bit further for me if we were closer friends? Well, I've been making this art for you for years. And that pigeonholing of creators into specific roles or content styles because that thing that pops. I'm expecting you to talk about this next. I'm expecting you to do this. Oh, shit. I hate this chair. I hate this chair so much. I'm keeping that in the video. Self awareness can help you resist the pressure to constantly meet your audience expectations. They can feel let down. This isn't as great as your other videos. They're not going anywhere. When you lower their expectations by saying, I'm going to do what I feel is right and what I like to do, and if you're down for that journey, let's get it popping. Reduces them expecting you to have an upload schedule, reduces their expectations of what specifically it's going to be about. They just know that they're going to be entertained and feel something. And when you set those boundaries with your audience and you maintain that healthy relationship, you can have creative freedom. You can have that integrity that you want. And the audience can't hammer on you any more than we miss your uploads if you take too long to upload. Hold on. The role of vulnerability and authenticity. I know it sucks to even think that you have to somewhat admit certain faults, certain things that make you scared, but I'd like you to think about all the people who have been assaulted over the past couple years, all the people that we've heard have had cases against them. Think about all the women who are not able to speak out due to the clout of the men who take advantage of them. There is a risk in oversharing for clout. Oh, I'm the deep guy. But I think at this point in time, as a viewer, as an audience member, you can figure out that authentic vulnerability that serves a purpose beyond the person who's talking to you. I hope, honestly, straight up, that I'm one of those people for you. And if I'm not, I will just keep improving till I get there. There are times where you keep things private, and there's times where you share those personal experiences. This is up to you to blend. People do a lot of performative vulnerability, and that genuine openness, there's a fine line in between it. And it's easy to see who cries for attention and who cries because they know that you needed to see that. I always bring up Hot Damn My Rock, When Geniuses Smile, going through losing all your friends and your hand just like this. And then I started losing my friends and my hand started going like this. And I was like, damn, I wouldn't even do this if it wasn't for King Carter. So as long as I can still do this and I don't shake, I know I'm good. I know that I'm in the right place. I could be down on money. I could be down on life. I could be losing shit. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that my audience doesn't exploit me for jokes. I know for a fact that trying to clip me out of context doesn't work. because I believe in what I say. People talk about these echo chambers all the time. You don't like to listen to people. You don't like to listen to people who have opinions different than yours. I think echo chambers been used terribly in the last couple of. I think the echo chamber thing is not actuality at this point. I think an echo chamber can only really truly exist in real life. It's easy to block people, but you can't get away from the truth. It's Googleable. You could lie your ass off in any form or facet. But one way or another, the only motherfucker that you can't lie to at night is yourself. And you can surround yourself with only those who agree with you, but you only gonna end up with somebody who finally, finally has enough to say, and you realize you can't escape, that it pings your heart just a little bit. Damn, I can't believe you think that of me. Because everybody has that feeling. You can have dissenting views and you can go seek them out, but we are at a point where you want to argue dissenting views about the worst things possible. And naturally, you'll find yourself, if you're truly honest with who you are, with people who agree with not your takes, but agree with your worldview. I know this person does not bring me harm. This person would not wish me harm if they did not know me. And a lot of y'all don't provide that safety, that comfort. But along with gathering that same comfort, you gotta still manage the expectations of your own self-worth. Nobody's listening to me. I'm not getting enough views, likes, shares. My social media algorithm isn't popping. How do I get out of the 200 view chamber? I'm not seeing consistent growth. I have to change something. So stuck, so hopeful that everything has to continuously grow or it's a failure. That sounds like capitalism to me. If you could possibly set an end date for yourself, a day where you say I'm going to stop doing this, would you feel like you'd borrow more time? Say, damn, it's been 4 years, but I still got 4 years worth of stuff I want to do. How do I manage that expectation if the line's not going up? I'm comparing myself to others in the same space and they're not even doing half the work, leading to that self-doubt. No resilience can be built. I need that social media validation because it's literally what tells me what worth is in this. 19 people like your stuff. That's 19 people who scrolled and said, yo, that was fire. You think you get 19 people in a room? You think you could book a show and get 19 people to come watch your set? A like for the audience goes a little bit of a way. Why does the like go so far for you? Aren't you proud that it's just out there? What if I watch everything that you do and I just don't like videos? Maybe I screen record like a sicko and I like watch everything I screen record on my phone for a day. Everything except how you feel is represented in those numbers. Are you doing this for a purpose? Are you attached to the ground with some sort of point? Or are you just waiting? If you wait, you'll always be waiting. And with that comes navigating being a public figure and accepting criticism and knowing the trolls when they come around. Oh God, this sucks. You rambled for 30 minutes. While another comment says, wow, this was so informative. You literally saved my life. Why value those with the same weight? For all you know, that's a jealous ex that's just going around posting on your fucking. You can always remain self aware because you know that what you're doing, whether or not the massive amount of hate comments that you get, oh, I talked about Ben Shapiro and everybody disliked it, they engaged with it. Good job. And it feels like you're stuck trying to get that short burst of viral fame. And you're trying to build a sustainable long-term career and you keep noticing the click, 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 click. It keeps spiking when I do this thing where I pour conditioner on my head and then I smother eggs on my face. I can't choose between the fame I get from that. So I'll keep doing this because it seems to bring in the money. and I'll make another channel with something for my own stuff. Compromises. And that clout chasing idea versus longevity. I had tons of points I wanted to bring up about this, but I just love to summarize it in this one sentence. Is what you're doing right now what you wish your next of kin, somebody who looks up to you, would you like them to emulate what you're doing now? Would it be healthy for them? Do you feel comfortable when you go to sleep at night? Do you think they do? If the answer to any of these is no, or I'm not sure, why are you doing it then? I'm trying to leave a legacy behind. So that way the students I taught know I wasn't full of shit. But the people I met along the way also know. I remember Marquise when he was 30 years old, he was on the YouTube, and he was just talking forever. That brother has some good ideas. And that inspires somebody else to talk about somebody else, and then all of a sudden, the last point I want to bring up is building a community that values that depth. You have to. You can't approach this in a way where you try to make it mass marketable and extremely deep with nuance and authenticity. It doesn't work that way. It'll just end up breaking you. Trust me, I tried. There's so many benefits to staying true to yourself. The satisfaction of building a brand that reflects your true self. How many like long-term mental health benefits. You don't feel burned out anymore because you could take a break because your audience is ready for that. A stronger sense of fulfillment because the next time you put out a piece, boom, we're waiting. We love that. How being self-aware and resisting the cloud vacuum can help everybody just become leaders instead of followers. We keep talking about that, and yet somehow it just keeps happening. Everybody want to follow. Everybody want to react to the thing everybody's reacting to. Why? Do you not have enough time to think about any stories that you'd like to tell? Anything you'd like to create? I thought you was nice at fighting games, or you play them off stream, or you do that, or you do you. I don't do art and stuff. I just react to. Okay, watch it absorb your entire life. There will be audience members who prefer sensationalism over substance without, and you have to figure out how to alienate them. You have to figure out how to not alienate them. But there are so many benefits to creating a niche audience that may be smaller but more engaged. Because then you can do this. You can say every word I say out on this microphone matters. You can choose to let the seasons affect you. You can choose to be vulnerable. And because they've been with you for such a long time and you've never traded your ways, they know that when you say, "Hey guys, I'm really feeling really sad, and I don't think I can manage making videos for a couple weeks," we'll be right there with you. You set the tone. This is your show. Nobody's writing a script for you. There's no Vince McMahon in your ear. You can do whatever you want. So the reactions you're getting are people doing whatever they want. And if you've primed them to be aggressive attack dogs who don't have nuance and don't understand anything but love and empathy, then you're going to find yourself being represented by the worst of your community. Obviously, you can't control who comes in and out, but you can always talk in a manner and feel in a manner and choose topics in a manner that are consistent with what you feel is important. And throughout time, I think most of us will figure out that we are also adults who can make these choices. And I hope to see later on in life a shift in the form of content that we ingest, and hopefully more pieces that stand the test of time 5 years later, 10 years later. It's important to remain self aware in this culture. Don't chase those viral moments at the expense of your identity. And remember that everybody who's built a brand, even the most horrible people, still kept going. Will you be as big as Mr. Beast? Probably not. But I think it's fair to say that you probably will have a bigger impact. And that is self-awareness in a clout vacuum. If you like this video, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell to stay notified. And I will catch you in the next one. If you like these videos, let me know in the comments. Be writing, be writing, be writing, be writing. Be writing. Be writing. And I hope you have a good day. The paradigm shift. See you next time.